Okay, so this is the high quality connections and respectful engagement assignment from week 3. So by completing this experiment, I'd hope to establish improved communication practices among the leadership team at my current workplace. We currently and have in the past struggled with communicating effectively and respectfully with each other. The leadership team has at times struggled with being on the same page when it comes to communicating, whether it be when to communicate, what to communicate, or even how to communicate. Some will say we communicate too much, and others will say that they feel like we don't communicate enough. There has been a definitive decrease in the quality of our communication as a team post-pandemic. There are many we'll say stress factors, as well as maybe triggers for both sides of the leadership team. So like the salary managers and the owner versus the hourly managers and shift leaders like myself. In order to conduct this experiment, I had to sit down and plan my steps to make sure that everything would go accordingly. First, I would start at the lowest level of leadership, being myself and 2 other hourly managers / shift leaders. And we'd discuss what changes they would like to see in regards to communication standards and practices from all sides. And from there, I would work my way up the power ladder, so to speak, to all the way up to my boss, the owner, and kind of just repeat the process and create a comprehensive list of goals and ideas to present to everybody as a group. The next step would be to schedule a group meeting for the entire leadership team and to introduce the new concepts and practices, as well as to discuss any differences in opinions and such. I would know that this would be successful if I was able to see a measurable improvement in the quality of communication and practices, and I could measure this by lower stress levels of the leadership team, implementing new tactics or, I guess, practices of communication, more updating on the manager log and things like that. So to start the experiment off, I messaged the group chat that we have for all of the leadership team members, asking if they would be willing to participate in this experiment, and created meeting times to meet with them and to kind of discuss their needs and wants as individuals and as a group as far as changes in communication practices go in the workplace. Once I collected kind of all of my data that I needed, I comprised a list that included everyone's ideas. I didn't withhold anything. And I held a meeting where everyone could bring their differences kind of to light, and we could discuss those differences and acknowledge the new ideas. And I really wanted to make sure that everybody felt validated in their feelings and that they knew that their opinions on our communication styles mattered. So in order to create a communicative environment where everybody felt safe and respected at work, I did notice some kind of discomfort on the higher end of the power dynamic when it came to kind of acknowledging the differences in our communication styles, and that we as a group did not communicate respectfully or effectively most of the time. And I want to say that it surprised me, but it really didn't. Having been in such a toxic communication cycle for as long as we have, it really wasn't that surprising. And I definitely realized that a big piece of our struggles in communication is the power difference and not being seen as a united leadership team, and that we're definitely segregated by our level of power. During this experiment, I felt a lot of anxiety actually, as well as relief, but I knew that other members were feeling similarly, and the fact that there was a general lack of respect towards us from both staff and management. This has always kind of been an issue. A lot of times we are talked at instead of talked to, and there is no consistency in styles of leadership. And actually bringing it to our boss's attention was a little scary, um, as well as disappointing in a sense. I don't feel that our perspective was um, taken as well as it could have been, or acknowledged as well as it could have been. There was definitely no like finger pointing or accusations or belittling going on our part. We definitely made sure that our bosses understood that we understand how stressful it is to own a business, and be in charge of so many employees. However, it didn't really improve the situation at all. I learned that high quality connections are important in maintaining healthy work environments, creating effective open lines of communication, and others. I also learned that high quality connections are difficult to establish if one party is unwilling to try different styles of communication or even learning about respectful engagement to begin with. I think that in the future, I might look into reaching out to corporate about doing an email with some ideas to implement respectful engagement amongst leadership teams, as I feel every team could benefit from these and improve, the connections that they have. I think that this may prove to be more effective with my boss as well as other bosses, as it would be coming from their superiors. And I think that it would, in general, decrease the amount of anxiety that lower leadership members like myself and other shift leaders feel when it comes to discussing differences in leadership. Um, I also think that after this experiment, I will be more responsive to feedback from others and be more willing to participate in more dialogue with the employees and peers and not just the management team. I feel that it's very easy for us to get defensive when somebody tries to coach us. Even our corporate bosses, I feel like we get very defensive with them because we've been in such a toxic cycle of communication for so long. So I feel like after this, I'll be a little bit more mindful that not everybody is out to get me and that it's positive advice, it's positive reinforcement and coaching. It's not just belittling me. This experiment in comparison to the appreciative inquiry or the 4D model experiment that we also did, I found that both were beneficial in improving workplace dynamics as well as practices. And I definitely think that they both improve the quality of workplace projects that we take on. I think that the 4D model is definitely reliant on respective engagement and open communication. I think that without great communication, it's almost impossible to implement new ideas and strategies. And I also think that it leads to better engagement and results. When you're communicating more respectfully and effectively, I think everybody feels more important to the project or more important to the environment, and then they tend to work better and create better results and engage with each other better. So yeah.